a lot of times you're walking at what you said earlier, which is a lot of times you're walking into places that absolutely require a certain certification for whatever reason, for whether or not they work with the government and they need somebody that's certified in this thing. Like they absolutely need somebody. Like, I need you to have this cert. They don't need anybody that has a college degree. That's not necessary. But I need you to have this cert. Or you're working for whatever the case may be. And then what we say to that too is that a lot of times it's much cheaper and it's much quicker than actually going to college.
I think with the boot camps though, you're right. You're right. But I think with the boot camps, it's almost, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think it's past the golden age of the boot camps. Because I think that there was a time, it was a few years ago, because we had a friend do that. We had a friend that went through a boot camp, and it was a couple months, and then he got hired by, it was literally boot camp to Facebook. It was right through there. I don't think that happens as much anymore. And not only that, I think now the demand for the tech jobs is spread out so much that it's not that the one he went to, I think, was in San Francisco. So obviously that's different than one somewhere in the middle of Ohio, where you're not going to have those, whatever that boot camp is. If they're running a boot camp in San Francisco, the likelihood that they can connect you to a company is probably a lot higher. We live in a different time now where the online learning there has never been online learning like there is now. Never. It is the most accessible it has ever been. I think when those boot camps were going on, there was less people interested in it and there were less resources. The resources were harder to find. And so it was easier for people to go to boot camps. Whereas now I actually think that in a lot of ways, for the softer skills especially, it's easier to go online than it is to go to a boot camp, and it's definitely cheaper.
And I think we're just outlining options right now. We're just outlining options
because you can do whatever works
for people to explore. Some people, like using the example that I said earlier, some people need personal trainers, and some people don't. But that's just. And
it's not for everything. So you might like I said earlier too. I would consider doing a boot camp for coding before I would do an online cert for it. So it's very individual.